A warm welcome to you here on TV News Hour, here on TV Sapiencia. The top stories today. The National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure and the Nigeria Export Promotion Council have called on Nigerians to support local manufacturers by patronizing made-in-Nigeria goods and services, stressing that a negative perception remains a major obstacle to promoting indigenous products. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, has argued that the international system, once considered a bedrock for global cooperation, is increasingly failing to meet the needs of many countries, particularly those in Africa. And in sport, Women's World Cup winner Yuki Nagasato, who made history with a brief spell playing for a men's team, said she had given every last drop as the Japanese striker announced her retirement from football. My name is Chioma Vic-Chukwuemeka. Now the news in full. The National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure and the Nigerian Export Promotion Council have called on Nigerians to support local manufacturers by patronizing made-in-Nigeria goods and services, stressing that a negative perception remains a major obstacle to promoting indigenous products. Speaking at the Strategic Focus Group meeting on made-in-Nigeria products in Abeokuta on Tuesday, Babajide Soya from NASANE's Lagos office said the engagement aligns with the agency's mandate to drive economic growth through increased local patronage. Soya noted that addressing the stigma surrounding local goods require a collective effort. Also speaking, Hadiza Kashiet from the NEPC emphasized that negative perception remains the biggest challenge to the acceptance of Nigerian-made products. Away from that, the Anglican Bishop of the Diocese of Lagos West, Right Reverend James Odedeji, has urged Christians to steer clear of all forms of evil and not let sin extinguish the light of God in their lives. Odedeji made this call during an online broadcast on Ash Wednesday today, which marks the beginning of Lent, that is 40 days of fasting and spiritual reflection for Christians. Speaking on the diocese theme for the year, Be a Beacon of Light, the bishop emphasized that Jesus has called believers to shine so that the world can see their good works. He further explained that Jesus expects his followers to bring light to a world filled with darkness. The President, Bola Tinubu, has described former President Olusegun Obasanjo as an extraordinary leader and statesman whose contributions to Nigeria's development remain indelible. He also said Obasanjo's regular interventions in national affairs, sometimes controversial, have helped shape public policies and put leaders in check. In a birthday tribute today, Wednesday, to mark Obasanjo's 88th birthday, Tinubu hailed the former president's decades-long service to the nation, acknowledging his role in shaping Nigeria's political landscape, both as a military and civilian leader. The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Afam Osigwe-San, has expressed worry over the deteriorating security situation in the southeast, highlighting rampant illegal detentions, extrajudicial killings, and human rights abuses. In an interview with newsmen in Enugu, Osigwe condemned the development, stating that they had led to the breakdown of law and order in the region. He condemned the practice of some magistrates without jurisdiction, granting remand orders leading to prolonged and unjust detentions. He noted that over 68% of prison inmates in the country were awaiting trial, adding that many had spent more time in detention than they would have if convicted. A bill seeking to amend the Federal Polytechnic Act on Tuesday scaled its second reading in the House of Representatives. The proposed legislation, co-sponsored by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas and the Lagos lawmaker Faud Laguda, aims to modify the Federal Polytechnics Act Cap 17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to introduce additional functions for polytechnics in Nigeria. Leading the debate during plenary, Laguda emphasized the need for the amendment, citing the expanding scope and role of polytechnic education in the country. Urging his colleagues to support the bill, Laguda stated that its ultimate goal is to enhance a technical education for Nigerian students by strengthening the polytechnic system. The Anambra State government, through the offices of the Commissioner for Culture, Entertainment and Tourism and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Pharmaceuticals, Dr. Godwin Nadoze, have hosted traditional medicine practitioners in the state to clarify issues surrounding the practice of herbal medicine and native doctors in the state. Addressing the gathering, the Commissioner for Culture, Entertainment and Tourism, Comrade John Onyenji, who said that Governor Chukwuma is a lover of culture and traditions of Ndibu, noted that the meeting was called to educate traditionalists on government stance on native doctors. The State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Lomefo, said there is never a time Governor Soludo's administration said that traditional practices and native doctors will end in Anambra. Rather, it wants to end the era of fake native doctors. Still in Anambra State, the governor's wife, Mrs. Noye Soludo, has appealed to the State Council of Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, to always publicize the achievements of the present administration. Mrs. Soludo made the appeal when the state executive of NUJ, led by Dr. Emeka Odogu, paid her a courtesy visit at the Governor's Lodge, Amobia. Earlier, the chairman of NUJ Anambra State Council, Dr. Odogu, commended the governor's wife for her innovative programs that have encouraged backyard farming and healthy living among people of the state. Dr. Odogu disclosed that Mrs. Soludo has proven to be a critical voice for the downtrodden, which resulted in the union honoring her as most supportive governor's wife, NUJ 2024. Operatives of the Nigerian Police Force have dispersed supporters of the lawmaker representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, from accessing the National Assembly complex. It was learned that the supporters had converged at the Assembly gate but were dispersed by police officers with tear gas to prevent a breakdown of law and order. The protesters had converged on the National Assembly gate as early as 8 a.m. today. With the resumption of plenary and hearing of the Senate's Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition scheduled for today, the protesters have now moved to the Unity Fountain for their protest. Akpoti-Uduaghan had clashed with a Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, over seating arrangements on the floor of the Senate on February 20. She was thereafter referred to the Senate Ethics Committee. Last Friday, the Kogi lawmaker accused Akpabio of sexual harassment and maligning her because she refused his sexual advances. Away from that, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, has argued that the international system once considered a bedrock for global cooperation is increasingly failing to meet the needs of many countries, particularly those in Africa. Tuga spoke at Chatham House yesterday, Tuesday, focusing on Nigeria's evolving foreign policy and global aspirations. He pointed out that many African nations, including Nigeria, have long experienced challenges that the current international frameworks have struggled to address. Tuga highlighted ongoing conflicts in Sudan, Eastern Congo, and the Sahel, where the United Nations and other international bodies have often been ineffective in providing lasting solutions. The minister also criticized the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, noting the disproportionate impact it had on developing countries. He noted that some nations were far more privileged in accessing vaccines and resources, exposing the inequalities within the global system. Finally, in sports, Women's World Cup winner Yuki Nagasato, who made history with a brief spell playing for a men's team, said she had given every last drop as the Japanese striker announced her retirement from football. The 37-year-old, a part of the Japan team that lifted the World Cup in 2011, brought the curtain down on a 23-year career that saw her play in Germany, England, the United States, Australia, and her home country. She said on social media that she was retiring with a clear and peaceful mind. Nagasato made 132 appearances for Japan, scoring 58 goals to become her country's second highest goal scorer behind Homare Sawa. She won an Olympic silver medal with Japan in 2012 and the Champions League with German side Turbine Potsdam in 2010. She also played in Europe for Chelsea, Wolfsburg and Frankfurt before moving to the US in 2017. Without news, we wrap it up on the story this hour. A quick reminder of our top stories. Told you that the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure and the Nigerian Export Promotion Council have called on Nigerians to support local manufacturers by patronizing made-in-Nigeria goods and services, stressing that a negative perception remains a major obstacle to promoting indigenous products. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, has argued that the international system was considered a bedrock for global cooperation is increasingly failing to meet the needs of many countries, particularly those in Africa. Women's World Cup winner Yuki Nagasato actually made history with a brief spell playing for a men's team, said she had given every last drop as the Japanese striker announced her retirement from football. Well, that's it on News Hour, this hour on TV Sapiencia. I am Chioma Vic-Chukwuemeka. Thank you so much for watching.